Welcome, everyone. Welcome back. Helpers, wellness professionals, change makers, visionaries, entrepreneurs, whatever label you use. But you are here on this planet. You know that a big part of your purpose and your mission is to help others, to create impact, to inspire, to transform, to bring about creative solutions. And you do that by leading from your soul, from your heart. And so I'm so happy to connect with you today for episode 136. And this episode is called Answering the Calling of Your Soul. And so if you're new to my work, my name is Lisa Espinosa. I'm a spiritual career coach, and I coach what I just said, all the invitation I called out. I coach wellness professionals and helpers. And what I really specialize in is helping you to answer the call of your soul, to share your unique gifts, what I called your unique soul's medicine, and to do that in a way that actually increases your well-being, that actually feels fulfilling, feels purposeful, and does not lead to burnout or resentment or self-sacrifice or all of the things that often as helpers we fall into. So today, this is inspired by the Monday medicine message I sent to my mailing list on Monday. I thought it would be really helpful to anchor it in as a podcast episode. And it's so interesting because I was like, wow, I can't believe I haven't sent an email about this or done. I don't think I've done, this is episode 136, but I really don't think I've done an episode specifically about what actually is your soul's calling, inner calling. And the reason I'm so surprised is because this is my book, my first book that I wrote now. Oh my gosh, it came out in 2017. So that's a while ago. It's called Answering Your Inner Calling. So I'm like, I can't believe I haven't done an episode about this. And I thought it was really important because I've just been feeling, as I've been coaching now for 15 years, and I'm recognizing a lot of my clients in this moment and students that are coming to me are on this threshold. So what's a threshold? You can think of it as a gateway. They're like about to leave the past, right? The way things were, and their soul is calling them to something new. That's the threshold. And I was really thinking about it, and I was like, I really want to share these teachings of what I've learned because I've crossed many thresholds in my life. Of course, if I wrote a book on it and that's what I coach my clients, of course, I would have to experience that a lot. And there's a lot of misunderstanding. There's a lot of unnecessary suffering that can happen during this time. So I want to help you. My goal with this episode is that you can identify, oh, that's what's happening. My soul's calling me to something new. And that you can begin to really understand some of the kind of like milestones, truths of what answering your calling from your soul, what that entails, so that it can normalize it for you. And once that happens, then you can actually flow through them in a much smoother way, with more joy, with more trust, and really get to the other side in a more efficient way. Now, I want to be clear, this isn't about rushing through them. You cannot rush through this. It's just, that's not how it works. And we could say, we can make it harder for ourselves when we don't understand. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So I have my little notes here because I want to make sure I don't forget something. So one of the things this is the thing I want to share. First of all, everyone gets called, right? So when I said answering your inner calling, even though I was specifically writing this for my people, and my people are you, right? The helpers, the wellness professionals, but you don't even have to be in that field, but you're here to bring about more light, we can say it that way, into the world. Everyone is called, not just the helpers. Everyone receives a call from the divine, from God, from your soul, from your heart. But a lot of humanity can ignore it. And I'm not saying this as a judgment. It's just, it is somewhat superhuman to recognize that you are having a calling and to answer it. It takes a lot of courage. And I'll explain why in a moment. But what I want to say is for you, the way you are designed as a helper, for you, it is a lot harder to ignore your callings. You can still do it, but it creates so much suffering, so much discomfort, so much frustration, and so much pain that it's very hard to ignore it. Why is that? It's not a punishment. It's because you agreed, right? You remember, you're a helper. You agreed to this because this is what's going to bring you the most joy. And so you can think of it as like before you were born, you met with your soul or you met with God, the divine, whatever feels more true to you. And you were like, yep, I'm going to go down to planet Earth and I'm going to be a helper. I'm going to inspire. I'm going to help people heal. I'm going to remind them of their own truth, of their own light. Maybe you're going to be a therapist, or maybe you're like, oh, I'll create a product, or I'll sell inspiring jewelry, or whatever you're doing. Or even if it was, and please know, even I'm speaking to you, even if you're retired or semi-retired, like you still have a legacy of love that you're creating. And so anyway, this was you wanted to do this. And so you agreed that, okay, when I come into this world, there's going to be so many things. First of all, starting from our ego structure, our intellect, starting from the way society is, that's going to try to get you off your path. That's part of the training of our human life. There's going to be all of these things that come at us that are going to try to convince us that. So they'll try to convince you that your medicine, your gifts aren't important, that you're just too busy to do anything, that it's too hard, that nobody cares anyway, that you can't really make a difference, or all of these things, that it's going to be too much, too hard, you don't have enough energy, you don't have enough support, all of the stuff. All of that is going to come at you and comes at everybody, right? To try to get you off your path. But you said, but I want it to be so uncomfortable if I don't answer my calling that I do answer it. In fact, in my book, I have this quote, which when I first read it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is me. This is by author Anais Nin. It says, and the day came when the risk to remain tight in a bud was more painful than the risk it took to blossom. So that, in a nutshell, describes what it's like for the helpers of the world, the change makers of the world, the visionaries of the world. It describes what it feels like if you ignore your calling. You were designed to answer it. So for me, when I now back in 2009 left my career in education, my career as a middle school teacher, meaning, teaching like 13, 14-year-olds. I was a teacher. I taught science and language arts. And I know many of you have heard this story, but it's important to repeat it here for those of you who haven't, or in case you forgot. At that point in my career, so many things were going awesome, right? I had won a prestigious award of teaching. I was publishing articles in teaching journals. I recently remembered this. I actually, PBS from New York came because of something I had written, came to my school and was in my school with video cameras and producers and all of these people and recorded me. You probably could find, please don't look for it. I mean, you could if you want, but like they recorded me for a week in my classroom teaching a lesson that I had developed. It was like black and white photography for my students. So anyway, so I'm just saying, I don't say that to show off, but it was like a lot of really positive things were happening. I was starting to mentor prospective teachers. I was getting invited to do talks at universities to talk about teaching. And I really, truly believed that teaching was a noble profession. And yet, in that year, it would have been 2008 at that point, all of these amazing things were happening, and I was feeling very restless. And I just remember I kept asking myself, like, why am I not happier? Like, all of this positive stuff is happening. All of these things are happening. Why am I not happier? And I just kind of kept asking myself that. And then I had that moment, which I share it in my book, where I was in my classroom. I was teaching a reading class, a language arts class to my seventh graders. I'm really pretty sure that we were reading the novel An Island Like You, which is a great novel. And I was doing my thing, and I had this like very, obviously this must have taken like a split second, because when you're teaching, and those of you who are teachers, or if you work with teenagers or any age, you have to be really present. But I had kind of like a little bit of an out of body experience where I was like hovering above watching myself teach. Like I was just watching myself teach with my students. And again, this must have happened super fast. And in that moment, I heard it was my voice. It was in my voice, but I knew it was coming from a deep, wise place inside of me. I now understand it as it was my soul talking to me. And I heard the words, "Your time here is done." Just that. And then I was back in my body teaching the class, but I knew, I was like, oh, like I knew in that moment, that's why I haven't been happy. That's why I'm not happy, because my time here is done. But it was like I had both this like, relief. Okay, that makes sense. And then this total like, what? Like terror, because I was like, what do you mean my time here is done? I'm nowhere near retirement age. All of these things are going great. I can't let go of this identity as a teacher, this prestige that I was starting to get, this regular paycheck, all of the things, right? So it was this like super joy and relief and yes, and this super like panic. So the reason I share this story is because that is something that's really important to understand about a calling. Callings often show up as restlessness, as dissatisfaction, as just kind of like sometimes people will call it like spinning your wheels, like what's going on. Now, if you've ignored it for a while, it might show up way more dramatic, right? As physical pain or an illness or something dramatic that happens in your life. Because again, you said to your soul, it's not a punishment. You agreed to this. You said to your soul, I want to answer my calling. So like get my attention when I'm down there in a human body with an intellect and all of these things happening to me, and I want to ignore my calling, make it super duper loud so that I don't ignore it, right? And so that's one thing to know. Now, I know that example I shared with my job, with my work, is a very kind of extreme example. So I don't want you to hear this and think I'm saying that's what you need to do, right? It's not, it might be, but that's not what I'm saying. I remember when I was doing book talks and I would share that story over and over. And then I started to realize that some people would get really intimidated by that. Like they would be like, oh my gosh, does this mean I have to go quit my job? No, this is just the example that was for me, because remember, I was being prepared to lead others in answering their calling. So of course for me, and that wasn't the only example, but it had to be kind of very dramatic things. I had to go through a lot in preparation to help others do the same. So first thing is that, okay, a calling can show up as restlessness. Now, what I was said at the beginning is that I feel that in this moment, whenever you're watching this, now maybe you're watching this live or you're watching this tomorrow or in a few weeks, maybe you're watching this 5 years from now. But whenever you're watching this, I really believe that you were drawn to this episode because you are on the verge. You're being called to the next level, right? The next breakthrough, the next level of sovereignty, of impact, of fulfillment. And it doesn't have to involve something like so huge as leaving your current career, but it does involve a release of an old identity. Okay, so let me see, I'm just looking at this. Yep, I shared all that. So let's go over these 7 soul truths about callings. And I want you to, like, as you're listening to this, you might already be like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm being called. Now, okay, so I'll go through these and I think this is going to help you, okay? So that was number 1, is that they often begin with restlessness, dissatisfaction, urgency. Just like me, where I was like, why am I not happier? Why am I not happier? There's all these amazing things happening. Why am I not happier? And it was like, I wasn't, because my soul was literally like, it's time to leave this. Okay. Number 2, they require a release. So answering your calling will always require releasing what doesn't fit anymore. In my case, it was at that point, it was releasing my career in education, right? But it doesn't have to be that. So, like, I remember several years later, so after I had started my new career, my new business, my new work, I remember I was teaching at a yoga studio. I was teaching a intro to meditation class. In that class, I would integrate energy healing and mantra and movement. I love teaching that class. I like designed, developed it. It was a very popular class, and I met so many people. It was such an important training for me, and I know it was really helpful for the people who came to that class. It was really helpful, especially for people who had felt like, oh, I can't meditate. It's not for me. I don't know how to do it. My goal with that class was really to help everyone understand everyone can meditate. And so, and then there came a point where kind of same thing. I was like, why am I not feeling happier now? I had done it for a few years. And I realized, oh, I'm being guided to what's next, and it's time to release this class. So there, I wasn't releasing the whole career. At that point, I was just letting go of that meditation class. But it was also hard because it was also a very popular class. It wasn't like nobody was showing up and I was just like bored with it or anything like that. It was just like, again, it was time to release it. But it might be releasing identities. It might be, right? I've been talking a lot about, in fact, tomorrow is the masterclass of releasing the martyr identity. And I'm going to really identify what are the facets of that, right? But it might be, for example, that you're being really called to release, for example, self-sacrifice. Maybe, and this is something a lot of us have, right? We think that in order to be a good helper, we always have to put everyone first. That's what a good helper does. That is not true. That is based on old programming. And you might be at the point where you realize, oh, like I have to let that go. I have to let that identity go, that belief go, that everybody else always has to come before me. Right? And maybe that's what you're releasing. So it doesn't have to be a job, a role, a relationship. It could be those things, but it might just be a way of being. It might just be a thought. I did a whole masterclass last month. Well, it actually ended up being at the beginning of this month about releasing the I'm behind thought. So maybe for you, it would be just a thought, I'm behind, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not ready. So answering your calling will always involve releasing something. Maybe it's releasing energy. Maybe it's releasing, so, when I coach my clients, I integrate many different things in the coaching program. And one of them, I'm also a Reiki master, an energy healer. And so often they're releasing just old energy. Maybe they already did the inner work, but they're still holding on to energy from their clients or the people they've helped in the past, or some really difficult challenge that happened a few years ago, and they're still holding it in their energy body. So part of what they need to do is release that energy, that heaviness that they're still holding in their body. So I know, for example, I just started a new yoga practice this week. Been going every morning, waking up very early to do this. And I realized as I've been doing it, I'm like, oh, part of the reason why I'm here, why my soul guided me to this yoga class, this new yoga practice is there is energy I'm releasing toxins, energetic imprints, traumas literally from my muscles, from my tissues, from my legs, that's being released as I do this yoga practice and sweat so much as I'm doing it and just kind of move my body in a very different ways than I have so consistently. I can literally feel like, oh, I'm releasing energy. This is preparing me. Remember, I said at the beginning, we're at the threshold between where we were and where we're going to be. And my soul is like, okay, part of doing that is you've got to release this stuff. Okay, so that was number 2. It requires a release. Number 3, equally important, is that it requires you to expand your capacity to receive. You have to become a better receiver. Because think about it, anytime your soul is guiding you to answer a calling, that answering that calling is going to bring you more joy, more fulfillment, more reward, more blessings, more expansion. Even if at first it feels difficult, it's going to bring you more. And you have to have the capacity to receive more. So sometimes we have this goal, this intention that we want for ourselves, but we still have old self-limited. It's like we have like a limit on how good our life can get. And we don't even know it. A lot of times it's unconscious. It's also connected to that martyr identity. Oh, I have to suffer, or I shouldn't be too happy. I shouldn't have it too good. I don't want people to get jealous or judge me, or all sorts of crazy stuff that we've been programmed to believe. And so sometimes you have to increase your capacity to receive. And sometimes it's increase your capacity to serve, right? Like you might need to receive. So for example, if you're someone that is a therapist or a coach, or even if you have a business, selling whatever you're selling, your services, your baked goods, your jewelry, your whatever it is. And let's say you're wanting to have more customers, more clients. And you really have that prayer, like you're like, I want to serve more people. And yet, unconsciously often, you might have this thought as like, but could I handle it? What if I can't handle it? So it's like we do this thing where we're like, yes, bring me more people. But at the same time, we're like, don't, but not too fast, not too much. I don't know if I can handle it. Right? So we need to increase our capacity to receive the people. And often the release and the receive are very connected. So you might, maybe what you're guided to release this fear of becoming overwhelmed, this old beliefs that you can't handle it, that you don't have enough energy, that you're not smart enough, that whatever it is. Right? Again, this is something I really help my clients with, to identify, okay, what are those specific things that, we think what's holding us back is life circumstances. I don't have enough time. Things are really difficult at home. I'm doing a home renovation. A loved one is really sick. I have this diagnosis, whatever it is. And I'm not minimizing those. I know those can be really challenging, but I promise you, those are not the obstacles. The obstacles are always internal. And so I help my clients really identify what are those internal obstacles, and I help them through a process to release them, right? So often that releasing will be connected to the step of receiving, okay? So that was number 3. So number 1 was callings begin often with restlessness, a sense of urgency, dissatisfaction. Number 2 is a calling will always include a release of something. Number 3 is it also includes a capacity to receive more. And number 4, this is really important. I know it's kind of obvious, but it's important to really name, is they are divine. They are sacred callings. It's a sign that something is going right, not that something's going wrong. I think this is one of the reasons I wanted to do this episode, is that we can think something has gone wrong. I'm going backwards. What's wrong? Like me, right? In that example I gave, things were happening in my career as a teacher, but I was feeling restless. I was feeling, why am I not happier? And I was thinking, what's wrong with me? Something wrong with me? Like, why am I not happier? Am I just not being grateful? Am I trying to sabotage myself? What's wrong with me? But if I had understood, oh, it's just a calling. I'm being called to something new. And so that's really important for you to know. Nothing has gone wrong. It's like the alarm clock went off, right? And the alarm clock went off and your soul's like, all right, it's time. And whenever there's a calling, it's because your soul knows you're ready. But your intellect, our ego structure often is like, no, I'm not ready, because our intellect and our ego is designed to stay the same. So this is why it's really important to know, like, okay, this is not a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that I'm being called forward to something new. And I wouldn't be called if I wasn't ready for it, even if my brain is freaking out and saying I'm not ready. Okay? Now, number 5, this is really, really important. Answering your callings will always involve uncertainty. Always. They will always include some level of uncertainty. This is one of the hardest things. This is why so many people don't answer their callings. Because one of the hardest things for the human brain, notice I'm saying human brain, but you're not just a human brain. We are not just human, thank goodness. We are a soul having a human experience. But our human brain hates uncertainty. It's terrified of it, it's scared of it, it resists it. And yet, answering your calling will always involve uncertainty. Because the truth is, you, as much as you think you want the whole picture, you often can't handle the whole picture. So when I was leaving my career as a teacher, I knew I was leaving it to start something new. I knew it was going to involve helping. I knew it was going to involve healing. I knew I had a feeling, a sense that it was going to involve spirituality and it was going to involve energy work. So I had been delving into all of that about a year or two before I got that message in the classroom. But I didn't know any other details. I thought I was going to be helping teenagers because that had been my work up to then. So I was like, maybe I'm going to start a healing center for teenagers. I don't know. So it was very, very vague. And that was terrifying. I wanted to know the whole thing. I was like, please, okay, I'm already being really courageous. I'm leaving my career. Tell me, what is it going to look like? What am I going to do? Who am I going to serve? How am I going to get clients? How am I going to get students? Again, my example was very extreme because I was training to support all of you and to support my clients. It isn't always that unclear, but it will always involve some uncertainty. When my husband and I left Chicago 2 years ago, when we answered the calling that we were being guided to relocate to Mexico, a whole different country. And even though my parents are from Mexico, I was born in Chicago, born and raised in Chicago. And we were called to move to a city in Mexico where I knew no one. We'd never been. Like, we moved here in July of 2023. And the first time I had been in this city was in February of 2023. So that was like 4 months before that. That was a huge answering of a calling. And yes, we did our research. Yes, we found things out, but there was so much that was unknown. I was like, where are we going to live? Because we landed and we're in an Airbnb. Of course, we hired someone to help us look at different neighborhoods. But I kept thinking, like, where are we going to live? What's going to be around there? What is the house going to be look like? Was there going to be stores next to it? I mean, there was so much unknown, and I could have let that just totally freak me out and just be like, no, this is too scary, forget it. But by that point, I had so much practice answering my inner callings that I was like, no, I'm going to trust. Yes, my parts are getting scared, but I had my coach to help me. I was like, I'm just going to keep going one step at a time, one step at a time, one step at a time. And now we've been here 2 years, and literally every day I'm so thankful, even with this new yoga studio that opened up, 15-minute walk for me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, my soul knew exactly where she needed to plant me and Greg. Like, this is the house, this is the neighborhood. All of these things are going to be really close to you, that you can walk to an organic market. You can walk to a beautiful place where there's all these gluten-free, and because can't have gluten and I can't have dairy, gluten-free dairy things, these different, Tibetan healing center, yoga studio, like all of this is going to be within walking distance from you. Are you kidding? I was like, but this is what I'm saying. Like, callings will always involve uncertainty by design. And so if there's something that's uncertain in your calling, just know, yep, that's how it is. This is normal. This means I'm on the right path. This is also, by the way, why often it's important to have help during this, to have support, because our brain can really talk us out of it. Okay, number 6, your calling is unique to you. Your calling is designed specifically for you. What does that mean? Nobody else can understand it. So for example, I've answered a lot of callings. I've coached many clients since 15 years doing this. But when I coach my clients, yes, I can help them. I'm like a guide. I remember one client years ago said, you're like a Sherpa. And I don't know if you know what a Sherpa is, but a Sherpa is like when you go to Nepal and you're gonna hike the Himalayas or something, there's Sherpas, there's like guides who have done that hike so many times. They're experts. And you hire them to help you go up this mountain because they know, right? They're helping you go up the mountain and they're like, nope, not that way, because that way will be way longer or it's dangerous, or like I don't even know, because I'm never actually hiked those mountains, but they know. So they help to ensure that you get to the top, but you still have to hike the mountain, right? It's like, so it's the same thing. I really feel like that's what a coach does. So yes, I can help you as I'm doing now, right? I'm sharing these 7 things so that you could know, oh, okay. Oh, this makes it easier. Okay, this helps. But I'm also not your soul. Like, you're the one who knows. Your soul is the one that knows. So the reason this is really important is because one of the mistakes that we can do during this time is try to get people to agree with us. Well, what do you think about this? Like, when I got the calling to leave my job as a teacher, I had my coach, thank goodness, and she helped me so much so I could freak out with her and she would help me bring me back to my soul. That's what I help my clients to do. But I didn't ask any of my colleagues for advice. I didn't say, hey, what do you think about leaving teaching? Because I knew 99% of them would have been like, are you crazy? Like, you've only been doing this for almost 10 years. You're not close to retirement. This is a regular paycheck. Your kids are about to start high school, because, I'm also a mom of 5. So at that point, my daughter was in 8th grade at the school where I taught. They're about to start high school. In 4 years, they'll start college. And even though I didn't ask for advice, this is what people started telling me when they realized I was doing that. So I knew, like, I can't, this is not something I'm going to go ask people for. Unless this is the caveat, this is the exception, unless it's someone else who's also answering their calling. So hopefully you have those friends. At that point, I didn't have many of them, who are also in the arena of life, who are also being courageous, who are also like, oh, I'm kind of freaking out, but my soul's calling me to do this. Then you can talk to them, right? Because they're going to be like, yes, trust yourself. Oh my gosh, yes, I know it's scary, but that's okay, right? Like, it's a blessing when we have that type of community or those type of friends. But often we don't, especially in the beginning. So often people around you with the best of intentions do not understand your calling. And a lot of my colleagues did not understand. They were just like, don't get it. Especially then when they would ask me, well, you're leaving to do what? And then I'd be like, well, I'm gonna be like not a therapist, but I'm gonna help people, and I know it's gonna involve spirituality. And I would just like ramble because I had no idea, really. I had no details, right? And so this is really important for you to know, like, it's unique to you. And so people around you aren't gonna get it, and that's okay. And that's not a reason to not do it. It doesn't mean you're wrong. But again, this does require again, this is what I help my clients with, right? Develop that inner certainty to come realign back to your truth. And thank you, Robin, for that. You keep me, yes, yeah, exactly. That's what we do, right? And so, number 7, you are never alone. Your soul is always with you. So this is really important to remember. Even though many people around you will not understand, you're never alone because your soul is guiding you. And eventually, if you don't have the support now, eventually it will come. When I first started this journey, and I'm talking before even leaving teaching, when I was answering some harder callings, right? When I got divorced, I've only gotten divorced once, but when I got divorced, this is like 25 years ago. At that point, I did not have a circle of friends or even family or people that were supporting that. It was very lonely and isolated. My friends were authors of books, right? I would be reading books and I'd be like, okay. And then it was my therapist that I found, and she was helping me, right? And then it was a coach. And, then I met Greg, right? And it was like little by little, those people started coming into my life. But at first I did not have that. And so if any of you are in that point where you're like, yeah, I have a lot of friends, I have a lot of family, but I know that most of them wouldn't support this or wouldn't understand. That's okay. Those people will come. Set that intention. Okay? So I want to leave you with this, with those 7 truths about answering your calling. Notice which one is the most important one for you right now. Maybe for you it was just enough to know, like, oh my gosh, they start with restlessness, with a sense of urgency or dissatisfaction. I needed to hear that. Or maybe for you is like, oh my gosh, the release. I needed to remember that when I answer my calling, it's involving releasing. Right? Or something else. Or maybe it's I'm expanding my capacity to receive. Maybe you just have a limited, like a cap on how good and fulfilling and happy your life can be. And your soul's like, it can be so much better than it is even now, so much more rewarding. You've only hit the tip of the iceberg on how much you can be blessed and you can bless others. And maybe your expansion is increasing that ability to receive. So this was so awesome to connect with you right now. I really, really just want to leave you with that. Like, know that you're on the threshold. And tomorrow in the masterclass, I will be talking about, okay, releasing the martyr identity, stepping into your sovereign self, because that's what this is about. Like, when we answer the calling, it's not to become someone different. It's to become more of who you are. And ultimately, we are all this sovereign light being, sovereign helper, sovereign medicine woman, sovereign pillar of light, sovereign lighthouse, whatever you want to call it. That's what we are. So I'm going to be sharing that. And then I'm going to share in there a very special event that I'm having in a few weeks online. I haven't done this in a few years, and I'm so super excited. So I'll be sharing that tomorrow. I would love for you to attend live, or you can attend via the replay. You will have the replay for 5 days. And that is a free masterclass tomorrow at 12 Central, like Central US time. Okay, so let me look and see if there's anything else here. No, I think that was it. I do want to pull a card, and let's just see. I do have to share this card. This is a card I pulled for myself last night from a really awesome oracle deck that I love. And I got White Tara, and it says, by your quiet listening, you can liberate others from fear. Look at this beautiful White Tara. By your quiet listening, you can liberate others from fear. And I invite you to meditate on that and see what it means to you. Obviously, one is just you being a listener can be the greatest gift you can give others. But for me, it's also what I really took from it when I first turned the card over was like, oh, when I listen to my soul, when I take the time, right, to answer your calling, to listen to your soul, me doing that helps liberate others from fear. Because that is one of your biggest contributions, is being an example of what's possible. Being an example of answering your calling. So even though I had all those people that judged me and were wondering why did I leave and all of that, now there's so many people that are like, oh my gosh, like you left teaching and you've been doing this for so long. I've been watching your business grow and your impact grow, and that's so inspiring. And I'm trying to do something similar. And, it's like, and we're not doing it for others to applaud us or congratulate us. But it's important for you to know that you doing even like the little things that you do, you're, sharing your garden, it's like Robin, you've been doing, sharing the medicine in your garden, or everybody else, the way you share your gifts and your light. You don't know how many people you're liberating from fear. And fear is one of the biggest obstacles right now. This is a very challenging time on the planet. And we are not meant to hide during this time. We are meant to like get bigger and bolder and show up with more light. Okay, that is it. So let me, thank you, Roxana. Actually, I love that both you, Roxana, and Robin were both in that meditation class that I was talking about earlier. Like you were both there in person. Like this is so awesome to like be connecting and just kind of see how our life has evolved. And so This is from the Spirit Animal Oracle, one of my favorite oracles. And let's ask, what animal is guiding you right now, is helping you answer your calling? Okay, I just have to say this little story. I was walking back from yoga and I was walking and I saw this little, just like this little thing flying to me, and it landed on my thing, and it was a ladybug. And I love ladybugs, and ladybugs represent Mother Mary. And so whenever I see a ladybug, I'm like, it's Mother Mary. And here, there's not that many ladybugs. They're very rare. You don't see them a lot. So the fact that it came and it flew and it landed right on my thing, I was like, oh my gosh, it's Mother Mary. I always feel close to her, but when a ladybug arrives, so I just want to share that with you because I feel like Mother Mary, the Divine Mother, and this is beyond religion or anything like that. It's like the Divine Mother is the one that's leading this movement. I'm just one of her workers. I'm one of her worker bees, right? So, okay. All right. What animal? Oh my gosh, I don't know if I've gotten, I'm like always amazed. Every time I turn one of these cards, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. Okay, number 3, armadillo spirit. Okay, picture an armadillo. You can probably guess what the message is. Set healthy boundaries. Look at this. So the armadillo is helping you answer your calling. And its message is set those healthy boundaries. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow because that's one of the things of moving from the martyr helper to the sovereign helper. And it might be healthy boundaries like you literally lovingly have to tell someone something, but sometimes it's just energetic boundaries. It's literally saying, yes, I'm a lighthouse. Yes, I'm sending light. But I'm also not like, come to me, everybody, like all your stuff, because that's often as a sensitive helper, as a heart-led helper, sometimes we make the mistake and think like, well, I'm supposed to carry other people's pain. I'm just like a sponge and everything comes to me. Absolutely not. So look at this. Armadillo. Oh my gosh. Nice. Oh, I'll stop because I could literally be pulling cards for you all day long. So I've got to stop because I will stop. Okay. All right. I'm sending you all so much love. I hope to see you tomorrow at the masterclass. I'll put the link in the comments. And remember, if you are my private client, you do get the replay past the 5 days. You get it for as long as you're in my coaching program. All right. Bye, everyone. Bye-bye.